A close friend mentioned he was interested in learning game development, and out of deep love and buffoonery, I ambitiously said I'd teach him. How do you teach someone game development? I don't really know. I think one of the best ways to understand things is to try to figure out for yourself with limited guidance. But given that my friend was struggling to find motivation to even keep up his search for a web development job, I decided to basically have him shadow me and ask questions while I developed a simple game. We discussed what kind of game would be straightforward to develop together. I proposed just remaking a game that already exists with some small changes. I wanted both of us to learn something from the project as well, so I suggested 2D platformers and shooters, since all my games have been in 3D so far. Our top ideas were remaking Vampire Survivors, A Fistful of Gun, and Doodle Jump. In the end, Doodle Jump won, since it appeared to be the simplest. Doodle Jump is a mobile game where you're jumping up to higher and higher platforms to increase your score, moving left to right by tilting the phone. Platforms below your character that go off screen disappear, so if you fall down, there's nothing to catch you and it's game over. Through a series of several calls where I shared my desktop with my friend, we made lots of progress. Making the character accelerate downwards wasn't hard, but soon after, we encountered the first classic challenge with 2D platformers. How do you get the character to jump up through a platform and then fall onto it? Several methods we tried were unsatisfactory, like turning on the collision between the player and the platform only after the player went above it. We ended up enabling the collisions when the character's butt rises above the top of the platform and when the character's velocity was downwards. This seemed to work in most cases. Next, we wanted to stop manually placing the platforms and generate them infinitely above. This wasn't too hard either. It required keeping track of the highest platform and generating a new platform when the top of the screen rises above it by some margin. Then, to prepare for adding the Game Over feature, we just deleted the platforms that went off screen below. We also made the background repeat vertically. The last thing we started working on was generating different kinds of platforms, as Doodle Jump has platforms that stay still, move side to side, and ones that break from under you. For the factory game that I'm working on, I worked primarily on improving the splitters, the intersections along the conveyor belts that split incoming units onto different conveyor belt paths. Fundamentally, the way that I coded moving the units around in the conveyor belts had each square of the conveyor belt trying to pull units from the conveyor belts behind it. This worked okay up until now, but I wanted the player to be able to configure the splitters so units of only certain types can move through certain directions out of the splitters. I tried several different approaches, but the best one was the simplest. When the player sets certain parts of the splitter for certain types of units, I just update the order in which I check the conveyor belts each frame to prioritize those ways first. And that's where I'm at.